Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Stay at Home Bookkeeper podcast, where we give you real talk, the good, the bad, the ugly, the real of what happens working from home, having your own stay at home business. And today we are talking about something fun. We're talking about managing your time while working from home. Sometimes it's not as glamorous as it seems, but working from home can be great if you have the right routines, the right boundaries, and maybe some reset routines as you are working from home. So we're excited to be chatting with you today, and we will see you inside of the episode.
Behind every successful business is a story, one of courage, creativity, and taking control of your future. This is the Stay at Home Bookkeeper podcast, Real Talk, where we share real stories, struggles, and successes of people who've built freedom-based businesses. So if you're ready to design a business that fits your life, or maybe scale your existing business and hear real talk from those doing it already, you're in the right place. And I'm super excited today because what we're talking about today, Emily, it is right up your alley. We are literally talking about managing your time when you work from home. And if there is anyone that's got the whole managing your time, it is Emily. Hey, Emily, right?
I love it. I love it. This is a fun topic. I work with a lot of bookkeepers who have come from different backgrounds and are learning what working from home and managing your time looks like. And I've experienced this in my own life, working in a 9 to 5, working in an office, going somewhere, and then the shock of working from home and not knowing, oh gosh, I don't have someone breathing down my neck, looking at what I'm doing. I don't have to get up and drive to the office. It's a little bit of a change. Have you experienced that in your life, Deanna, that transition from working somewhere and then coming to work from home and realizing there's a difference there in managing your time?
It is. It actually takes some adjustment. I don't think that you think about that at first because you're just like, it's kind of like an overwhelm. You're like, all of a sudden you got all this time and you're like, oh no, I need to create a schedule for myself so that it allows me to be the most productive me in my home environment, right? Because it is, I'll be honest, I'm the first one. Like, it's easy to be like, okay, I'm going to go do this and I'm going to go do this. And so like just getting yourself in that organized manner so that you can do the things that you need to do and want to do, and then still get done what is a priority for your business, right?
So I'd love to start by talking about the beginning of the day. We've talked about this before, Deanna, time blocking. I think whenever you're thinking about your work from home schedule and how to manage your time, for me, the most important thing I had to learn was time blocking. I've got a little bit of the touch of the ADHD, and at my house, if I see a sock that reminds me I need to go to the laundry, but if on the laundry I walk past the bathroom, I'm like, oh, I need to clean the bathroom. And if I don't set intentions for the day at the start of the day, it is so easy to get distracted. And people that we work with in the academy, I see that as well. Being your own business owner is great and fabulous in so many ways, but also you own the thought work, what's important, what has to get done, what doesn't get done. So Deanna, can you talk a little bit about your routine for time blocking and how you set what is important each day whenever you're working from home?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's just like you have to make sure that it's not unrealistic, right? I think where time management fails is when it becomes rigid or unrealistic, or you're focusing maybe on being busy versus being productive. And that's super important to be very clear. What is busy work versus being productive work? And when you go into like, I'm in productive mode, that's when we really call like time block. I'm very focused. So like, for example, I have like a social hour that is like from 7 to 8 a.m. every morning, 7 to 8 on my calendar. If you looked at my calendar, you would see it's blue and it says social. That tells me every single morning I'm going to go into socials, whether it's Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, LinkedIn, like whatever I want to do. And that is my hour to start like reaching out to people, whether it's to try to get new clients for marketing, whether it is responding to something. Maybe I did some like tips or tricks for the business, and so I'm having to respond to people. It's not just social, meaning I'm just playing on Facebook. It's like intentional. social,
Mhm.
right? It's intentionally that I'm spending that time responding to the LinkedIn responses, or I'm trying to find 10 people to reach out to that day, or so that is my intentional time. And I get more done in that 1 hour than I would if I just said, okay, today I'm going to work on socials and I try to fit it in throughout the day. I've tried that. It failed miserably because you get started, right? And then you lose track and you go down a rabbit hole, and then you go work on another project and you go back to it, and you find yourself just like constantly feeling like you're just like ping ponging. Like, okay,
Mhm.
instead you're like, no, this is my hour and I'm
Mhm.
intentional and I'm going to focus on it and I'm be productive in it rather than just feeling like I'm busy all day with throwing that out there. And so
Mhm.
I think, you've got to, like, for me, that's why I do that. Like, I have that social hour. I have the time that is my email hour,
Mhm.
like
I was gonna
very
talk about
important,
email next. Uh-huh.
right? Like it's
Tell me about it.
email time. You're not going to just sit there and go, I'm going to be responding to email 9 hours today at
Mhm.
all times. Now, mind you, most people that know me know that if they need to get a hold of me, they could text me and I'll check my email. If it's
Mhm.
important, I do have things that flag up and I'll make sure I'm in. But for the most part, there's 2 times a day in my schedule that are time blocked for me to go back and check my email. So the first of the day and towards the end of the day so that I can make sure I don't miss anything that's really, really important. But that way, my focus is on that email. Am I responding to people? Am I getting the tasks that I need to get done? What am I doing that needs? And then if I get done sooner, great. I just got some time back to my day. But it allows me to be very intentional for that time. And I'm way better at my job now. I mean, my own business job, right? Like I call that
Mhm.
my job because I'm working. I am
Mhm.
so much better to myself in my daily work because I am intentional.
Mhm. I think that if we could if I could summarize what is important about time management in any job, maybe you haven't left your 9 to 5 yet, or maybe you have built a big business for yourself, it is getting so clear and intentional about your schedule. I love time blocks as well. It's something I've had to work at because I've had jobs before where I've been assistants to people where I have been needing to be the hub of information and needing to get people stuff and thinking that my value comes from being available all the time. But when you become a business owner, you may have that feeling like I need to get back to my clients ASAP, or I need to, if I have team members, I need to answer them ASAP. I need to kind of be all over the place. That is so distracting. If your goal is to build a business, you have to be intentional with your time, which I like to do through time blocking. But
Yeah.
email, I want to
I,
talk about email really quick, just because you mentioned it. Another thing, if I could summarize um, the biggest trouble I see new business owners have is keep going back to their email. They have it up all day. They're trying to respond
Mhm.
to people. They're trying to do everything at once. And they think, well, if I'm not available for my clients, that makes me a bad business owner. Um, I think that probably bleeds over from corporate life, having a boss, thinking that you need to like impress your boss and making sure you're doing the right things. But I think setting boundaries around your email, like you said, Deanna, having 2 times a day where this is my email time, and if it takes less time, great. That doesn't mean you're a bad business owner. That doesn't mean you're offering bad services. That means that you are finding intentional pockets of time where you can respond and you can think through things, but you also need time to do work. You need time to think about, how am I going to do marketing for my business? You can't make everything a priority or nothing is a priority. Feel very strongly about the email situation.
Because that I agree with you, and you're so good at that. I will say something because this is something that I notice in Emily, like you know this about a lot of people that we see in the academy is that and just in general, like if you're an entrepreneur, we tend to have this because we want to do things so
Mm,
well. We want perfectionism. How many
mm,
of you
mm.
have that, right? Like you're like,
Ooh,
I'm gonna
don't
wait
trigger
for
me
I've got
now.
to. Right. Oh, I know. I was going to point to you because I'm like, Emily is like perfect. Like, I'm not lying. She's so great at everything. But here's the thing. We talk about this on our trainings and stuff. We talk about like doing it scared, just doing it, right?
Mhm,
A lot of the times we want to aim for like these perfect results. And what
mhm.
happens is it delays the completion of what you're actually trying to do. And it wastes
Exactly.
time on just those little minor details. And like what came to my mind was just this morning, my husband and I, we have our at home business as well. And he asked me this morning about creating, this is so funny, but creating this chat GPT image. Right. And I was like, well, we can do it through that. Da, da, da. And he's like, or I can send it to the graphics designer and do this. And he wanted this perfect thing. Yes, I'm tattling on Bill. So if he's listening, sorry, honey, love you. Um, but right. But that was going to be like a 24-hour turnaround. But the point was we wanted to get a message out to some of our clients. And so it was like, let's just do it. Don't wait for it to be perfect, right? Because the idea is when you've got something that you would like to say or that you've got an idea, act upon it, because even imperfectionism is action taking. And it was true because we went ahead and sent it out as is. And we got four of our clients that came back with some amazing opportunities that is going to grow, like our business. And four out of imperfection. Right. Now, does that mean we would get more if we were perfect? I don't know, but we didn't wait upon it. Right. So I want to try to make sure that you don't feel like everything has to be perfect before you do anything, because sometimes just taking action and just going with it is the right thing to do.
Exactly. And that perfectionism mindset is something that a lot of people struggle with when they're starting their business. And once you can break through that, that's where we see growth happen. And I can speak from that perspective just in my own working life. I need things to be organized. Deanna has been to my house. I hide my cords, I just like everything has to be tightened up. And I said that because I'm looking at a cord right now that's hanging off my desk and it's really bothering me. But
and I'm looking at my desk that has 10 cords hanging all over the place.
That's so funny. But if you get stuck in that perfectionism, you don't move forward. Something that I've had to learn a hard lesson of is it's better. I learn more. I can move our business forward more if we make quicker, more intentional decisions and take action on things, because I'm going to learn each day quicker than waiting, a week to try to make something perfect and think, and then wait another week to test it, So like you said, that's a good thought to have. Sometimes you just need to take action, and then we'll clean it up a little bit later if we need to. And that applies, I think, to your schedule. But a way you can kind of balance the two, if we're talking about time blocking and being intentional with your time, but taking action, is setting those pockets of time whenever you're working on certain things. If you want to have a really great communication with your clients, that doesn't mean you need to be perfect by being available 24/7. It means I have 2 dedicated times that I do communication, and you can think clearer whenever you're separating those things out instead of multitasking, having a dedicated social time or a dedicated marketing time. This is my time. I'm going to go to my leads list and follow up with everyone. But I think the important thing there is you have to become diligent about turning off notifications. Whether that means, for me, I like to turn off my phone notifications, which Deanna will know because she'll try to call me and probably thinks I'm not working, but no, I'm just working on a project and I don't want to answer the phone or I'll get distracted. That means maybe if you're in an organization and you have Slack or you have messages from team members, you need to turn them off if you need to do specific focus work on what's going to move your business forward. But I think the important thing here is finding, I love that you said intentional, beginning of this is intentional pockets of time. So you can focus on what's the most important of moving your business forward throughout your day. And you can still find time to do your email, still find time to communicate with clients. You don't need to be available every second, every minute of the day, or you're just going to drown in your business. That's what I think.
Well, you just nailed it on the head. Because I think sometimes we feel like we have to treat all of our tasks equally instead of focusing on the high impact, big items first. And I think that's just equally as important too. Like when you're setting your day and you're looking at it, you should also be looking at what are the ones that I need to focus on today that are going to be the highest impact? What are the things that have to get done today that have to be, that really are going to move the needle for my business, or that I've promised a client or something like that, right? So like, what are your high impact? Because that's, again, going back to my sticky notes, right? Like I have sticky notes that are like, these are things that have to get done. These are the things that I'd like to get done, right? And so I have colored sticky notes based on have to get done today, like to get done today. And so I think you have to when you're working on your, your time management, you have to set those priorities of
Mm,
what is going to actually be the most impact for your business. And it could very well be that it's like I did this the other day, like last week. I literally said, and I did a video on it. I'm going to stop last Friday. I'm going to take an hour out of my day and I'm going to walk and meet some of the business owners at
mm,
some of the different businesses. And I'll be honest, y'all, it was on my it was on a different sticky of like a nice to have type thing, nice to do. And I was like, nope, I got to do this today. I don't know why. I got to do this today. This is going to, and I did. I just forced myself, got out of the office, out of my house, and I walked up and down the street and started meeting some other businesses and the business owners. And it actually led to
mm,
two people talking to me that I had not spoken to before that could be potential clients. So it was
mhm.
a win, but I almost didn't do it. Right.
Yeah.
But that has high impact. Going out and talking to people and getting clients has a high impact. But I kind of just pushed off to the side until I was like, nope, I need to make this a priority. So I think you
Would you
have to do
say you
that.
pushed it off? Was there any like nerves factor? I mean, I don't think you get nervous about talking to people, but people in our audience may. So I'm just curious, did you put that off because you were busy with other things, or maybe there was a little bit of like a fear nerve factor in there? Do you know why you put it off? I'm just
It could
curious
be a
for our
little.
audience purpose.
It could be both, right? Because like even if I talk to people all the time, if I know what I'm talking about or we're doing certain things, like I can get into my comfort zone, but and I can do it. But there's also when you're just like randomly like, okay, I gotta go and meet all these business owners. There is a part it doesn't matter how polished you are, you're like,
Mhm,
oh, I gotta go get out and I gotta go talk to people. But what was funny is my we decided that we were gonna give out these little candles, right? So it forced me to be like, I'm gonna go pass out some little candles to these business owners and just
mhm,
talk and say hi. And so
mhm,
that got me out. Like, okay, I'm
mhm,
gonna go do it. I'm gonna go meet five more today. I'm gonna go
mhm.
do this today and force myself.
I love
So a lot of it can just be your gut, like trying to like, oh, I don't know if I really want to do this or not. And you're kind of scared, but you just got to do it regardless. Just
mm,
go for it and do it. The other thing was also that was a Friday. And to be honest, like I wanted to kind of just have some time off and not work
mhm,
and just kind of be downtime. So there was a selfish part of me too, right? And that is the joy of having your own home business is like,
mhm.
if I want to
Exactly.
go and just do whatever I want to do, I can. But I realized that I had this opportunity that I was already at one of the I was in downtown Austin. I had this opportunity where I was around some other businesses and I'm like, I'm
Mhm,
here, I should just do it. So I'm just gonna force myself to do it. I'm just gonna go out for an hour and just gonna do it. So I think it's just also just paying attention to, if you have the opportunity in front of you, do you take that? Right?
mhm. Exactly. And there's a technique in there that I like to do with some of my coaching clients, and that's called eat the frog. I'm sure you've heard that terminology
Yes.
before. And I used to think it was so silly, but it really works. So for those of you who don't know what eat the frog is just like what is the task that you're avoiding because it's difficult, it's a big task, maybe it's client communication you're worried about, or something that's stressing you out. You need to do that the first thing of your day and get it over and done with. Because I guarantee number one, I think 9 times out of 10, things that we stress about or worry about that's going to be difficult, a big job, it ends up being a lot easier because we've built it up in our minds. Number two, you're going to be more productive if you eat that frog the first thing in the morning. It might be unpleasant, but you've done it. Now by 9 a.m., you have conquered the thing you've been worried about, and you have the rest of the day to be like, oh, you know what? I did that thing I was worried about, and you're not going to be stressing about it. Versus if you have something that you need to do, maybe it's going out and talking to potential clients, something you're nervous about, something that's been on your list. We're less productive because all day we're thinking about, okay, what's my next task? Well, I could do that, but I'm worried it's going to go this way and I'm nervous about it. And you spend lots of time wasting and worrying about how it's going to go, what it's going to do. So I love the technique of eat the frog. Do that one big thing first, get it done with, because the rest of your day will go so much better.
That was so perfect. And you're right, because sometimes you just got to get it over with and just do
Mhm,
it, right?
mhm,
Um, let's chat a little bit about because sometimes when you start your business, and again, like we talked about, getting your time management
mhm,
and making sure that you're focusing on your family, and
mm,
because doing a business in your home, there's the good and the bad, right? Like the good
mm,
is your home. The bad
Mhm.
is you're home, right? Let's be real. So, is there anything that you do, Em, that, and I already know the answer, but I want you to share with everyone. Is there anything that you do to kind of make your office special for you that then is kind of separate from your home?
Mm. Okay, so this is good. When I first started working from home, I was living in an apartment and my office was literally in my bedroom. Do not recommend. 10 out of 10. Do not recommend. Because when you think of how many hours you work and how many hours you sleep, I was realizing, wow, they're about 4 hours when I'm not in this like 10 by 10 box. Um, so whenever we moved out, we're in an apartment. I decided I need a separate room where I can go. I do work. That's where if I'm stressed about work, I do all of that in one space, so I can close the doors and I can leave it. Um, because working from home for me, I've worked so many jobs in the past where I got up and I did stuff and I was active, that I realized, man, I feel like I'm living in like a little like aquarium that I can't escape. I'm here, and I love being at home. I love my house. And I love this lifestyle. But I realized I had to be intentional about what are my working hours. Where is my space where the working happens? So it's not in my bedroom. You know, you're trying to go to sleep and you're thinking about your computer that's 10 feet away. And I'm a nester and I'm a decorator and I like to make my space feel special. So I've got my little lotion and my candles and I like to make it like this is my workspace that I take ownership of. But I also, because I like to work a lot, and I know you're like this too. Outside of the 9 to 5 hours I think about work, there's stuff that I like to do. But I also know in life, my family is important and my hobbies and things that I enjoy. I have to be intentional about washing my hands of work and setting that time aside. That comes from, you know, being a perfectionist and I like to do things and I want things to grow and I enjoy it. I enjoy working. I mean, this is fun,
Right.
right? Talking about these
But you have
topics,
boundaries,
but
right?
I've had to put
Mm.
in certain boundaries around it. And um, it's for the sake of my family, but it's also for the sake of me because no one was made to work 24/7. That's not we work hard, but I like to travel. I like to do fun things. So setting those boundaries around making sure that I'm intentional about shutting down work so I can go on a walk or work out, shutting down work so I can cook and take care of my dog and my family and things like that. I've had to work at that because I could sit here and do things all day just because I enjoy it. What about you? Have you had
Yeah,
to set some intentional boundaries? Because you're a serial entrepreneur. You like to work. You like to build
I
and grow.
do.
And I know it's ingrained in your family, but have you had to
Yeah,
set some boundaries around it?
we did because Bill and I both, my husband and I both, we're very workaholics. Like this, just you got to realize our children are adults now, right? So like we don't have little kids in the house, and
Mhm.
our grandkids come over, and so we do put boundaries around that. Like if it's family time, it's family time, right? But what we did find is that like we would just be working. This is just him and I and our dogs in the house. We would just work all the time, like all the time. And it just felt like you were waking up, working, and going to bed, and then waking up, working, and going to bed. Like that's all we did. And we would do that 7 days a week because we were trying to build our portfolio and really kind of grow our businesses. And we had to stop. And this was last year, believe it or not. Last year, we had to say, we are there, the weekends have to be about our family because
Mhm.
that's when they're not at school, that's when they're not at work, that's when they're inviting us to come over and have dinner, that's when the grandkids want to come spend the night, and we need to be present for them, right? Like the and what happened was we'd spent years, like 20 years, like training the toddler the bad way. Like our clients could call us at 24 hours a
Mhm.
day, 7 days a
Mhm.
week. And all of a sudden we were like, we've got boundaries. Like we're not taking calls on the weekends. We're not going to be able to let you call at 11 o'clock at night to find out where something's at. Like that'll
Mhm.
wait till Monday. Like, you know, and so like we had to start putting the boundaries up so that our family realized that they were a priority. Why we were doing this is to have that,
Mhm.
and we just kind of got sucked into it and we
Mhm.
realized we got to stop. And then, even if it was nothing else other than for him and I, just to be like, you know what? Let's just go enjoy the day. Let's go do something, a day trip or do whatever,
Mhm.
unplug and feel good again, versus just constantly going, 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 because that's just our personality. And we
Mhm.
actually do enjoy it. But we also found that that's like the quickest way to burn out, right?
Mhm.
Is just
It
because
is.
you don't realize it and you just get caught in that hamster wheel of staying busy, 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 and there's
Mhm.
no recharge time.
Yeah, and I think I don't know about you, but for me, my creativity that you need to have as a business owner, as an operator, building some type of business, that creativity comes for me when I'm rested, when I have space between the deep work and things like that. And it doesn't mean I don't think about work or I don't work whenever, it's off time, but you have to be intentional, or you'll wake up and maybe your decision making might be a little bit more poor because you haven't rested, you haven't taken a break. Maybe you realize, wow, I've set really poor boundaries with my clients and they think they can access me at any time. And I want to pause on that. That's why when you are building your bookkeeping business, it is so important, even if you feel new, even if you feel like you're proving your worth by always being available, always checking your email, always your clients can call you at any time. You are shooting yourself in the foot a year from now when you realize, oh wow, I have 50 clients and they all feel like they can call me at all hours. It is so
Exactly.
hard to walk back on those boundaries. It's fine at first when you got a handful of clients and you feel, wow, they need me and I'm doing a great job. But future you is going to hate you for not having to set those
Yes.
boundaries in place. And that's okay. It's okay.
It is, and it is hard. Like she said, like we did that for like 20 something years, and then to like go back and like, well, we have boundaries now, right?
Like, what do you
So
mean?
yeah, yeah. What do you mean we can't call you at 11 o'clock at night, right? And so, so that was really important for us, was that we had to set those boundaries, and we just have a better, um, day to day, balanced life now
Mhm,
because we put those boundaries up, and now people respect that, and they're
mhm,
actually, and if there's an emergency, of course they know that, right? Like there's a problem that will be, we will always take care of our clients, but it was more of just, you can't, we have to be very respectful. We don't call you at 11 o'clock at night for something, like we don't want you calling us, like we've got to do that. And I would generally start with, I'm here with my grandkids at the moment, is this something that can wait till Monday?
mhm,
And and it wasn't, I'm not trying to push back or be ugly, but it's just like, how can I answer you now, but let you know that this should probably wait until Monday, and let's chat then when we're more focused and I have more time to really dig into your problem. Right. And so that solved it a lot just by having that response back. Right. They're like, oh, I'm so sorry, Dean. I didn't realize I forgot you have the grandkids on the weekend. And I'm like, yep, you know what? Let's just focus on Monday. Let's do a call. And you just try to reset those
mhm.
expectations. So
And that can
it
be
is
scary
very hard.
sometimes at first, but take it from us, you will thank yourself. You will thank
Yep,
yourself
you
for
will.
setting those
I
early.
I will tell you, I would love, because I know we're kind of getting on the time and I want to be respectful of that, but I have a question that I'm just dying to ask,
Uh-oh.
because I know, because here's something to think. I know that when people start a business, the balancing act, and we've been talking about balancing and making sure you've got time management. Here's the thing. It's not going to always be perfect, no matter how much you try, no matter how many times you're like, okay, but here's my time block and here's my schedule. And I've got all these things with my kids or my parents or whatever it is. Life is going to get messy, right? And
Mhm,
your day can get messy. So,
mhm,
like, I think it's really important for you, for your family, for your self care, to kind of have like a reset ritual. So, Emily, what
mhm.
is your reset ritual when
Mm,
your day just gets crazy and messy and you're like, that's it.
okay.
I need to start all
Um,
over.
okay. So I have two silly things that I do. If I'm feeling Well, so many things come to mind. Okay, I'm gonna say a couple things. Something silly that I do if I'm in the middle of the workday and I'm stressed and I'm like, oh my gosh, everybody wants something from me and we're dealing with this problem, blah, 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 blah. I stop and go brush my teeth. I don't know what it is.
I love that. I love that.
I go brush my teeth, I wash my hands, and that's like a reset. That's a physical, like, when you need to reset your phone and you like literally
Yes.
start it over. Something about that, like you get the minty freshness and it like makes my brain feel better. And I'm like, okay, it's all gonna come out in the wash. Let's just reset. So if I can't stop working and do something like that, that's something I do. I also love a walk. I love, even if like
Hmm.
maybe I need to do a meeting, but I can do it on the call, I'll
Yep.
take it and I'll do a quick little 30-minute walk, and something about getting my heart going that takes me out of my head because I'm very analytical. I got the perfectionism problem. And when you're stressed and the day is not going the way you wanted it to go, the perfect way, um, I have to get out of my head and do something physical. So if I can't literally leave, I'll go brush my teeth and wash my hands. It's stupid, it's silly, may not work for you, but that's something I like to do. Or I go take a walk. Another thing that I've taught myself to think about, that this may be helpful, is I like to think of tasks being like juggling things. And there are some things that you juggle that are glass and you can't drop it and it has to be important. And then there's some things that are plastic. Sometimes we got to let some things go. It's not going to break, it's going to hit the floor. But there are moments in life, whether life things are happening in conjunction with your work, or there are some work situations. And sometimes you need to know, what do I need to let go? And we're going to start over. I can focus on the thing that's glass, if that's the most important, that's going to move my business forward, or it's an emergency I have to handle. But sometimes you just have to let things go and start over. So
I
there's a
love
couple
that.
little things in there that I think about.
Yeah.
Is there anything that you do?
Yeah, it's funny. I do a walk. So I'm a big, like, if I see that I'm just like, I can see myself kind of spiraling a little bit,
Mhm.
then I'll look at my calendar and be like, oh, you know what? I'm gonna take this next call on my cell phone and not a Zoom. I'm gonna go walk and talk. And I actually am generally better when I'm
Mhm.
walking and talking because I'm thinking more clearer and I'm outside. Right.
Mhm.
So like that's a big reset for me. The other thing is, it's so funny you said something about brushing your teeth. I go and put lotion on my hands and I do peppermint oil. There's
Okay,
this
I love that.
sensory. Yeah. So I have some lotion and this peppermint oil that I use, and it just kind of recharges me. It's also the fact that you like left your desk. I go
Mhm.
downstairs, I get my lotion, I rub it. I usually pet my dogs. It's like a whole routine, right? Like I'm like doing my hands and lotion, and then I get my peppermint oil over, and then my dogs are like playful. So I can spend a couple of minutes doing that. And then I go back upstairs and I'm like, hey, I'm ready to reset. Like let's do this. My third one, you're gonna die laughing because my husband always knows this is my reset.
Oh
I
no.
I walk downstairs, I go straight to the pantry and I'm at the laundry room pantry area. I get my keys, I go out to my car. There is a Starbucks that is literally one block from my house. And I don't know, y'all, if it's the coffee
Mhm.
or if it's the fact that I've gotten out of the house, got in my car,
Mhm.
drove the block, came
Mhm.
back. It's just a full reset for me. And
I
they
love
know
that.
me. They're like, oh, it's one of those days, huh, girl? And I'm like, oh, you know it, right? Like, but it's the physical action as well, right?
Mhm.
Like I literally have
That's
left the
great
house.
for working
So it's
from
mental.
home too.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Mentally, I'm left my house. I've not gone far. I just went that block. I got in my car, went down to the end of my neighborhood, got my
Mhm.
Starbucks, came back, drank it a little bit while I'm in the car. And then I'm like, ooh, this is good. Like, okay, I'm good. Let's rethink this and start all over. And to me, that is like I should have started with that because that's my number one. I do that all the time. But
I love that.
it
Yeah.
is. It's just it's a really good reset.
I think, I'm just realizing, I was talking to someone once on a coaching call, and she was saying, well, like, I had this big corporate job and now I work from home and I can't seem to end the day. Like, there are always tasks. I can always keep going. And I said, you know what? When you left your corporate job, when you were working there and you left, you had to get in the car and drive away, right? So I want you for a week at 5 o'clock or whatever your ending time is. I want you to get in your car, go do a loop, go get a drink from somewhere, go get your mail or do something. It can be 5 minutes in the car and drive back. And she did that, and that helped her feel like she had a conclusion to the day. So I
Yep.
love that you said that. That's a good thing, a good technique to try when doing work from home.
Awesome. Well, I think we shared a lot. I'd love to kind of encourage everyone to find that one thing for you, that is a reset. And don't be afraid of it because it's got to be whatever works for you, right? Like, and then start really building out what is going to be good for time management for you. What is it that helps you manage things a little bit better? Because we all know, like working from home, there's the pros and the cons, right? But it is a beautiful blessing when you can get up every morning and you don't have to leave for work. You have your business right there in your home. The thing is that you want to make sure that you're using it for the best of your time so that you
Mhm.
have the time to like go do whatever it is that you want to do, what becomes the most important to you, right? So just really figuring out what is best for you or your family, right? And then really creating that habit of that time for you. And so that way, you feel like you've really got a system for you. Some people doesn't work. For me, I have to have systems, and I know Emily does too. So I would like to encourage you all to figure out your day and start with something that is, here's something new I'm adding, a new element that I'm adding to make my day a little bit more managed, right?
Mhm. I love it. Well, if you are here, whether you have a bookkeeping business or you're thinking about starting a big bookkeeping business or another work from home business, we love feedback. We love to have you coming back. So make sure to subscribe to this podcast, the Stay at Home Bookkeeper podcast, Real Talk, where we talk the good, the bad, the ugly, the real about having your own work from home business. Leave us a comment. Let us know a note, something that you learned from today from our episode, and we'll see you on the next episode.
Awesome, everyone. Now go take action this week. And remember, if you haven't started your own business, this is the time to turn this into freedom. So we want to see you really excel. And join us, like Emily said, on the next episode of our Stay at Home Bookkeeper podcast. Bye, everyone.
Bye bye.